described from the beginning.
exactly. So an idea recently that I kind of explored in my mind, kind of in a brief discussion also, was so when you get to the store, when you get to a supermarket or any kind of store, there's a shelf with items. Now imagine you can pick choose from the items, pick an item, and then put it in your cart, and then without standing in line and waiting and then paying, you just go to your car or wherever and you just leave with the goods and they're all paid for already. So like the basis of that would be envisioned like so you get to the supermarket, for example, and there's a shopping cart. You get a shopping cart, you load it with some crypto money, you go into the store, and now let's say you had brown sugar or white sugar, like super refined sugar. So you pick like brown sugar, and then uh, you pick brown sugar, and then you pretty much scan it with your shopping cart, and then it automatically tallies up what your total is. By the time you leave the store, when you cross the gates, it would cash out however much it needed to cover the cost of what you chose, and at no time did you have to go and wait in line and then do the payment with a person. And then people who work in the store could then help the assist with finding goods. They could and then they would guard like the store, but the shopping cart could have a weighted mechanism. So when you put something inside, it'll weigh down the cart and it'll know pretty much how much it should weigh when it's leaving. And if you didn't pay, then it would block the cart. And also, this would also prevent people who don't have money from having a cart. And then it would be obvious if someone is trying to escape with the goods that they didn't pay for. So I think like that would make it more efficient for to run. That would make it more efficient to manage. And I think the technologies like we talked about is possible. Like if we really wanted to, we would be able to mobilize. We would be able to mobilize this kind of model. And, yeah, David, I remember you had some questions you mentioned.
Yeah, you're very you're very advanced and ahead of what people conceptually see this. So I'm gonna kind of re-summarize it, if you don't mind. And
Hmm.
so you just correct me if I'm getting things off. So the person's at home, the actual consumer's at home, and they're looking through their screen, I guess through the internet or the Safe network, and they're able to see inside the supermarket from like a video camera, right? Somehow, because they're not physically there. That's what you were referring to,
I'm
right?
su-
So the
I'm
shop.
suggest David, I'm suggesting that you can be physically there and the store can be physically designed as well to accommodate this model.
Oh, I thought you said I
Well,
thought they
I
weren't
had
going to be
I
in the
was adding my
store.
2 cents at that point because I was thinking of it from a different perspective, but that's I was just adding my 2 cents. So that's why you got confused with
Well,
that because I was thinking if you had a virtual reality or augmented reality system or a virtual reality system and you put it on and you go to the Safe store and you have an automated it could be a shopping cart with arms, and you have gloves at home, or you don't even need that because you have your augmented reality that sees where your hands are in front of you, and
Hmm.
so you don't even have to have the physical items there. You could be in a virtual reality store picking out what you want, and then as you're doing that, it's being packaged for you at the store. But it's not actually done until you hit finish, and then it goes and gets all the items that you picked out. It would be like a regular online store in my mind, but I like your idea of an actual store where you have the shopping cart has the reader on it and a scale
Yeah.
built into it. So, but I don't think you would necessarily have to load the cart with the crypto. You could, I guess, it would be sort of like an escrow where you say, okay, it reads that you have X amount of, so you can spend up to this amount, and then it locks it in place, and then when you leave the when you go through the doors exiting, then it deducts the amount of crypto based on what you put in your cart. I like that idea.
And then it refunds you, and that's like not far-fetched. You still use the store like you intended, like originally.
Mhm.
Like you drive there and pick up your goods. David, what do you think?
Well, I think we have different concepts but they vary in slightly different ways. The way I was talking about is, let's say you start with Amazon, right?
Hmm.
Amazon.com. Everyone goes to Amazon because it has a whole big bunch of stuff that you can buy on there, and they just look through pictures. It's all pictures. I
Hmm.
think that what you could apply this technology to is they use a camera, that goes on a rail and it goes through the warehouse. Because the reason why people like going to physical stores is because they like looking at dates and they like looking at the condition of the product.
Hmm.
And that's one of the main reasons why they want to be physically in the store to look at it. So let's say we give them that ability, but they don't have to be physically there. So they're using a camera that goes around on the rails within the warehouse,
Yeah,
and it can look at the
that
condition of.
yeah, that sounds like a lower friction way. I think with things I don't need right away, that satisfies that model. So like
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize, like, why do I buy certain things on Amazon, and why would I rather go to the grocery store than buy on Amazon Fresh, for example? I
Yeah,
mean,
because
yeah.
you want to look at the dates of the milk. For example, there's same milk, but the one behind it has a fresher date, or the bag of oranges look better than the first bag of oranges.
Hmm.
There's that fine detail of why they want to be physically in the grocery store, especially when they're looking at perishable products, and that's mostly food items.
Right.
For shoes and shirts, that's not such a big deal. That's why they just return it if it doesn't fit right, so it's
So
not a
in
big deal for them.
in such a case, it's just the same store. It's different products. So the awesome thing is the model arouses a solution for the Amazon style, and also when you want to handle the
Both.
product. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And same with like, why is there a flooring showing room, or why is there a paint store? Because there's like that level of detail that you'd want to assess. Like I wonder, like, I don't know, like pro painters, like painting for like plastic goods or something, some kind of product that needs some kind of exceptional attention. Like, what about in that case? I'm starting to wonder.
Well, the
Exactly.
one thing when it comes to painting, usually if you're going to a specialty store, you're going to match something. So nowadays they have applications for your cell phone where you can
Ah,
take a picture of something, and if you have I guess it takes the ambient light, so it knows what the what the temperature of the light is, and then you take a picture of that item, or of that color, and then you can match that color at the store, um, exactly, as to what you want. I don't know how accurate those are on the cell phone, though. Usually what you do when you go to a paint store is you actually have a little piece of paint that came off of the wall or whatever, and then they put it inside of a little box that has a light, and it takes the exact color, and then I guess I forgot the name of it, but they have maybe like 6 or maybe 12 different types of colors, and then they mix them to get the exact color that you're looking for.
and then
But
they
then they still
produce you
have
the
to dry
paint.
it.
Uh-huh. But
What's that?
then they
Yeah.
produce the paint for you, and as close to what you asked for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
but the
but
but the thing is, it sounds like what we're discussing is very much more productive, like, setup. Like, if the stores operated this way, it would be more. We wouldn't have losses, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, when the store
mhm.
gets robbed, that's why there's inflation. And, like, when the people who make money, like the US dollar, they rob the bank itself, then we have inflation because we need to print more to fill the voids. So, when the more we make efficient, the more the money supply directly reflects the resources that are available and the resources that people demand. Like if people demand, at large, if people demand going to have a retreat, to a mountain, then people need to be facilitated in that, because that gives them peace, right? Like that gives them some kind of important some kind of important feeling or something that makes them in the future or in the past or presently productive to all the other people. So therefore, it's like, and like we don't know when someone will have that bright idea or be able to or have some kind of important contribution to others' lives. So every life is important, right? So in such a regard, it's like all the resources of the earth exist, and so if available, the money supply should not only allow a 1% person to be able to, let's say, do a retreat to a mountain. It should be available to any person who at some point feels like they need to be hurled over to a mountain to enjoy the peaceful scenery. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to accomplish that, I think that the making an efficient store, for example, and reducing extraordinary risk, like I mentioned initially, is like the potential theft is the major factor that puts the entire concept of bringing your goods to the store at risk. It's like if you're a farmer, you want the money up front because you're scared that the store might not sell them and later pay you. So like that's the whole concept of money up front. So if you only have people who can pay in your store, like with the shopping cart, or rather the only people who can pay who are picking up goods and taking them out, and everyone has some way to get some money to buy the basic things that they need, like the food from that grocery store, then I think the system works, because you won't have people pissed off. People won't be people will accept that kind of system. I think if you have like Amazon and the grocery store and efficiently doing business, and the case is made that by replacing all the infrastructure and adopting a cryptocurrency is more efficient and more reasonable to all the people, then I feel like that would be adopted. In fact, like imagine we crowdsourced a store, implemented the system, and imagine it's very easily managed, like it's a fully straightforward managed store. Then I think that that would go viral. I mean, imagine it's like the Walmart of the cryptocurrency version of a Walmart minus the corporatocracy of Walmart, right? Like think Trader Joe plus Walmart.
Right, you're like a co-op of sorts. I mean, if you're talking to crowdfunded, you're
Trader Joe is a co-op. Trader Joe has like people's homegrown recipes. Like, yeah, they find people's homegrown recipes and then sell them in the stores.
Right, but I mean, co-ops they're a slightly different model. Usually, like you would have people in the community would give like a certain amount of money per year to be a member of the co-op, and that gives them the ability to get discounts and things like that. I think the idea of co-ops originally kicked off with the idea that you're going to have a community of people that crowdsource the funding of their own little supermarket, and then they buy locally as much as they can from the local suppliers. That gets real tricky.
I remember. So co-op, the reason it fails is because it can be. I mean, some fail, or rather, like I've seen some that just didn't seem like I would feel like sustained by being a member of that co-op. So I was just like, there's no point. But I see that if it was made easy to manage a co-op and to deal with the process of managing a co-op and like sourcing reliably products for that co-op, then it would make perfect sense to have more co-ops, so to speak. Right? Like trade. Yeah.
I've done co-ops, and where we'll pay for certain crop or a piece of land that they'll grow kind of what the group decides, and we go and pick it up every week. And whatever the downside is the people that are growing the food, they don't want to manage the whole co-op, and then you got all these people at different steps. Any one of those chains break, the whole system kind of comes apart. So yeah, if you have things secured at each level, and I don't have to trust that the farmer is gonna, sell to someone else that comes along with a little more money later, or just at each level we can trust and not depend so much on humans and their fallibility. That
Yeah, Travis, remember we mentioned in the chat that imagine the farmer isn't even really a farmer, they just maintain that the machinery is operating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the models that's becoming popular around here is called Skarsgård, and I put a link in there so you can check it out. And with Skarsgård, you have online all these different foods that you can choose from, and
Oh, nice.
then once every couple of actually it's once a week. You have to have your order in by Friday, then by Wednesday there's a delivery truck that comes through and it makes the drop off at our local coffee shop. And there'll be like, it's a little tiny, refrigerated unit truck, and they drop off their fresh fruits and vegetables and organic meats, and it's a pretty cool gig. But I'm trying to think of the idea of stores and having and then working out cryptocurrency and your idea for the cart will work everywhere. To create a cart that works off of cryptocurrency, that just automatically works for any point of any supermarket could say, hey, we're going to get these carts, and then for our customers that want to pay in cryptocurrency, that it would be really cool. I think it could definitely take off something like this. But the reason I brought up Skarsgård is because I think that more and more we're going to be moving to a what's the word for it? Basically just-on-time delivery, right? So, and that always works for right. So just-in-time delivery just for every single individual. So, but the problem with that is that requires people to actually think ahead of time, about what they want. Most people show up at the store and then just.
I thought about a car. Now imagine you have a sharing economy car, and its cost is 10,000 coins, right? And you could borrow that car. You could cryptographically send it 50 coins, and you could have it for 24 hours. Or you could jackpot the car and take it for 10,000, right? So that's like the mechanism. And if you give it $50 or 50 coins, and then in 24 hours you don't add 50 coins, and you're still in the car driving it, it'll just become a loud alarm. Right? So now it's basically a coin-operated car.
And shock your seat.
Well, I wouldn't shock the seat, but it would
just kidding.
Yeah, and law enforcers would be able to hear it. Everybody would, like the whole the whole universe that was nearby, and like obviously you could drive it away into the middle of nowhere, but still like that, like because you don't want to disclose GPS coordinates and stuff. But the thing is, that car would always be it's like a moving active alarm that just never shuts off until it's been accounted for. So it has to be parked and abandoned by the person who was trying to use it without authorization, so to speak. And then the jackpotting protects the top side. It's like you can own this car. You could take it all. You can have it all. And then it could adjust its own price of itself based on its being used in the car itself. So imagine that's a new car lot. That's the car lot of the future. So if you're a car manufacturer and you want to sell your car in the middle of a sharing economy, you can accept cryptocurrency and have some mechanism that automatically sells off the cars off of the lot. Or people can park them back there and pay $50, 50 coins every time that they use the car. You see what I mean? Like, so the lot, or that people could buy them off of the lot. So Like I just think I think it's possible to automate, and I think the AI about cars, it's like the right time to even address one of these kinds of concepts, like to even test that this idea is viable in actuality. Like, will people use something like this? I think is worth a shot.
I think they already are. I mean, as we speak right now, I've got one of my vehicles, which I saw as just a wasted resource. It's someone's renting it right now. I've never met them. I never will meet them. And we just did it through our smartphones.
But they're your peer because you would treat their car well, and they wind up treating your car well, and that's what makes them your peer in the car sharing. Like you don't have to necessarily share your toothbrush with that person, but right? But you could share the car because it's a different kind of product. It's a different thing. It's a giant metal thing, right?
And you know what's nice about all of that is that they have a similar thing that they've been doing in San Francisco for a while. I think it's called Get Around or one of those other things.
Yeah.
And you know, the nice thing about that is you keep people honest because of the review system. You know, when there's a Yelp for how people use your car, people tend to be very nice with how they use your car. So it kind of does a self-policing thing. I liked your idea about the alarm. I mean, it's another way to go. If you were to do something completely decentralized, and let's just say you had a digital currency system, so that's how you start the car, where you activate it by putting in money, some kind of faucet, if you will, for your account. Yeah. And every hour you use the car, or every minute you use the car, it's just taking out a small bit of your safe coin or whatever. And when you return the car, it's going to stop doing that, right? So maybe there could be like a minimum amount that you have to have, in safe coins in order to run the car for however long. And with GPS and driverless cars, of course, it makes the problem even simpler. But
yeah, I mean, if you take it from I was thinking then, if you take it from the next step from beyond that, instead of having an alarm, couldn't you just have the car if you were going to use it beyond what you've got in your account, it just returns back to the dealership automatically.
Yeah, driverless cars.
Do you know what I mean? It just goes right back, and then so it doesn't matter. It's not driving around for 2 days annoying everybody. It just goes straight back. I mean, like you say, I think these are going to be the complete solutions, because it's down, like you said, Dali. I mean, you could even incentivize that to say, if someone does do your car, like it is when you rent the car, when you do the damage, you pay for it at the end. So if you return it and it's all, and that's where you can play into what Neil would have said. You have to have like what you do when you rent a car, you have to put, X amount up front for any damage you may do in return. And it's the same with that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, is what I'm trying to say. It's just basically taking ideas that work now and making them a lot better. That's all I'm doing.
I think this accountability will also deal with that hyperinflation that's been taking place for the last 40 years. And that would leave things at an accessible level. So, like, forget about affordable. Let's just have accessible resources to all people, right? So, I mean, things are already going that way. Like, I think there was a stat, like 11 states in America, 1/6 or something like that of the population is all on welfare. So they're already just receiving funds from their state, and so
I think
now
that's 1/6 of the population is without health insurance.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's still horrible. It's terrible.
Oh, the population's without. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was having this conversation about cryptocurrencies and governments for Christmas dinner, which is just as a note to self: don't do that again.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Christmas dinners when you're with your family. Don't get into politics, religion, or sex, or anything. Just talk about reindeers and shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got into it, and my friend started. He was pointing out. He said, he believes that the government should have control over the money, and he pointed out. He says, well, inflation is a tax, and I agree. And I think everybody agrees. Whenever the government prints $1 trillion, that's basically a tax on everybody. It devalues everybody else's money so that they can use the money somewhere else. So that being the case, we shouldn't have a IRS at all. They shouldn't be able to collect taxes the way they do right now. When they need money, the government should print their money, and when they need it, and everybody's money is basically automatically taxed when they print more.
Well, Rich, only in the U.S.
I have a question about this. These items, I don't know, suppose a car or maybe a bike, can generate or maybe distribute tokens. For example, suppose that you have a community and the people use bikes, okay? So, because we hate cars, we hate pollution, if you use that bikes, you can earn some safe coins or whatever, because there are a limited supply of safe coins. So maybe you go to work every day with bike and you have several safe coins to spend on network, or maybe to buy that bike or something like that. It's technically possible?
Well, this is something that Brady can speak to. He was looking at the different applications that are going to be created, probably more than likely by insurance companies that incentivize healthful living. Yeah. Right, Brady?
Can you guys hear me?
You're kind of low.
Kind of low?
It's not bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting things. I mean, the insurance industry brought us seat belts and smoke detectors because they were trying to save money, not save lives, and it's probably going to be something similar to this. It's unfortunate that it has to be like that, but yeah, I mean, the insurance industry is going to dive headfirst into all this because it's a no-brainer to pay people to be healthy and use apps to track their health. I mean, we're going to have modular smartphones this next year and have blood sugar testing devices and heart rate monitors and wearables and you name it. So tracking health is going to be a big deal, and the medical insurance industry is going to be jumping into it head first.
Isn't the insurance pretty much like a co-op where it needs the bad thing it doesn't want to happen to not happen at all costs to survive, right?
Yeah.
So if people don't die, then the life insurance company will be at its most efficient rate, right?
Yeah.
It would never have to pay, and if and people are always healthy, then the health insurance would never have to pay on anything.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically trying to eliminate reasons for why people would want to fuck with the system. So. But
we'd also want doctors to be alive and give sound advice all the time and well paid and still like I don't think that the status of a doctor should be changed, but maybe the model of the approach where like the incentive is that the people are healthy because the insurance company is keeping the doctors like hooked up, so to speak, despite fewer patients. Like I was like what I mentioned in the chat when I was typing was like the engineer. So let's say we have machinery. Oh, I hear my voice. Well, so let's say you had the food making machinery. The person who takes care of the food making machinery doesn't need to necessarily be the expert of the machinery. They just need to know that it's operating correctly. That's the first thing. And now someone who is an expert of the machinery, they should not be paid because the machinery broke and they came to fix it. They should maintain the machinery on a regular basis and be rewarded for that. And if it breaks, then that's like a responsibility. Like if you're going to be the one who's going to always fix the machinery, you should be on the scene if it's important that the food supply is fixed. So likewise, with a doctor, they need to be there in case something really goes wrong. But at the same time, you don't want things to go wrong for people, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think back to what Santiago was saying is how do you incentivize people to do the best things? And when you think about like let's just say somebody in a couple of years decides they want to create a safe coin-based insurance company where people who put SafeCoin into this insurance smart contract that they are obligated to download basically all the monitoring equipment applications on their cell phone that says, you know, this person actually did ride the bike 10 miles this week or 50 miles this week, and you know, this person is maintaining a healthy lifestyle just from what the applications can say. And you opt into this because you're buying the SafeCoin insurance, and if you want a low premium, then you have to show that you're living a healthy lifestyle. And if you don't want to have that privacy invasive technology, then maybe your premium's higher, or you opt out of having insurance altogether. I don't know.
Right.
I think. But yeah, we're all over the map. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, but the core of it is that, so like Santiago, yeah, I think it's technically possible that we can automatically pay someone to when they're using the bike. I just think that it would be up to the person with the safe coins to figure out how that works for them or something like that.
This just was an example, because you can do all types of incentives with that. You can sell products like the Fruity Loops with several prices. You have something similar too. I mean, the healthy thing is just an example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Santiago, you could go further and say you reward the people that are creating systems that are good for the environment and cost effective. With me, I drive an electric car that I use the fuel from the sun, and so I would happily pay someone else to provide more power to me throughout my day of driving, and I'm not harmful on the environment. I'm not using any fuel. It's not a bike, but you could have a bunch of people in my neighborhood that all have a charger that could be making money off of building that infrastructure and maintaining it. So kind of everyone.
I'm just curious here. How many of you here have looked into graphene? Graphene, the substance, the carbon substance that is
for batteries and states.
Batteries it basically has piezoelectric qualities. So they say that later, when this substance is embedded into the paint of a car, it'll draw enough energy from the sun to actually charge the batteries on the car.
Wow.
And it's an amazing substance. I look into it and I'm like, there's every university that is serious about material science is delving into how to use boron and graphene at this level, at this state, which is basically like a two-dimensional object. It's because it's one atom thick. They say that you can have a graphene, like one slice of graphene that is the size of a football field, and because it's one atom thick, you could hold it between your fingers and it wouldn't bend. And they'll be able to, make computer screens with it, and it'll charge batteries.
That means it's a superconductor because.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of. I mean. It
is. It's 1,000 times more.
But it's ultra efficient. I think it comes very close to being like the concept of wrapping a car and charging the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess that would be like a superconductor.
Right, and it's pretty exciting stuff. Like, the thing I wonder about is like, if we had enough people that found somebody who was developing the right science to create graphene in a way that you could do it at home with your 3D printer and a few other gizmos, that would be amazing.
Yeah, but
right now you can actually get Scotch tape and you could actually peel graphene off of carbon, right? But anyway, the point is that these technologies we talk about in healthy living and healthy environment, we're probably going to see it in our lifetime, where the idea of the exhaust coming out of factories and cars it's just going to disappear all of a sudden once these technologies actually get into the mass production.
Well, Rich, I was just going to say, Rich. I mean, a couple of things. I put and this is the answer to Santiago. There's already an app out called Bitwalking, which basically gives you a cryptocurrency for every step you take, that's already out, and you can get that app already. So that could relate to bicycles and stuff like that. And Rich, I've got to say to you, and generally, and I think it's the answer to I was going to really point out to Daddy as well. All these things are only going to advance. I mean, you're talking about 3D printing stuff, Rich. 4D printing. They've already got 4D printing on the go, which is nano, which they're doing it from the atom upwards. So the idea will be that you'll drop a piece of whatever material into, say, water, and it will transform into a boat. And at the end of the day, you deflate it, take it in your pocket, and walk home with it. They're already starting this. You know, these.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is innovation is ridiculous at the moment, and this is why I say that we sit here at the moment where we talk about decentralization. It's going to have to be inevitable because the advancement of technology isn't going to last on a central system. So what we're talking about is going to happen anyway.
Yeah, like if you take how far we've advanced just simply when they introduced crowdfunding. So just the infusion of crowdfunding, you know, got a whole lot of people starting to do these things on their own, as opposed to what it was before, which was funded by government and universities doing stuff. Eventually, what's going to happen is, I think they already have crowdfunding with equity shares, but it's going to go beyond that, where it's going to be decentralized, such that people can invest $1 from wherever the hell they are in the world to a product or to something being researched, and they will get equity for whatever they've contributed. And it's all going to be done in a decentralized way. So what's going to happen is you're going to have research groups, or you're going to have people from universities, people who are, well, intelligent people, just doing research like graphene and all of these things, but they're not going to necessarily be doing it to create little drones that go shooting people, you know, and in Iraq and funding wars. They're actually going to be doing things that, you know, they know is going to make is going to help the human race, you know, because they get a reward for it. They get to create a business. They get to create a startup based on, you know, energy, based on all of these little requirements that we have as we advance as a human race. So it's really all of these things are just going to facilitate all of those new ways of thinking, and it's an obvious, it's a very welcome future.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was thinking. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
Oh no, I just posted one thing there, one little thing about, you know, the lithium-ion batteries. A lot of these technologies have been around. Geez, the first electric car was early 1800s. A lot of things are just suppressed. So the creators either have their invention completely destroyed and taken off the map, or purchased and then just buried. And so now the information, it can't be controlled. You know, these developments will just grow in different facets that can't be stopped either. And
that's what I'm looking forward to, is once MadeSafe is out there, you can have somebody who's fed up with the way that they pull this stuff all the time, and if they get access to some of these secret files, they upload it to the SAFEnetwork and make it a publicly accessible item, and there's no way they can block it. Everybody has access to it now forever.
Well, the way that SAFEnetwork makes these things that we're talking about possible is that, so we could come up with the idea, encode it into our physical items, and we don't need to resort to the infrastructure necessary to host any single one of these apps. In other words, we don't have the out-of-pocket requirement. Like, to just host a single basic app that is widely used would cost us like hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just to keep it alive. I mean, how can you make a free app when it costs this much to let people use it? SAFEnetwork lets us make every app and let it live. Let it be used to the extent that people decide to use it. Right? Like, if only one person in the world uses a certain app, that's fine. And it should be published and it should be hosted for people to use. And if 1 trillion people, or whatever in the future when we're populating many planets and stuff, 1 trillion people are using an app, that will too be accommodated, and the developer wouldn't have to become some corporate businessman to figure out how to keep it alive, right? So then it's like, one thing I wanted to mention is, Rich, that if you have a car that has unlimited circulating electricity or power, it should be flying. not just it won't need to drive on the ground. I think it would be able to fly, like a UFO could.
I totally agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
And in effect, one thing I really like about the Safe Network, and it's the core of the Safe Network, is information sharing. Information is on these hard drives, and the people are just going to have access to whatever information. It doesn't matter whether it's information that's very controversial. It could be whatever. It could be anti-gravity drives. I mean, we don't know what technology people are going to be sharing, but I think there's going to be an openness of sharing information and less suppression of information, which is what's currently going on, and which is what's been going on for a long time. If you look at the way the U.S. government has been operating, I mean, for the longest time, they've been paying people, hey, I'll give you $100 for your resource as long as you don't sell it to this person for $3. And that kind of thing has been happening just so that they can control the resource. And that it has to change, and that will change.
Even like, for example, Tesla, I remember a story, it may be a hoax, but I think it just inspires, even though I don't think it would be a hoax because theoretically it should be possible, but Tesla had a little box, he got in a car, drove around without powering up, without charging a battery, and it was just his coil transmitting to the little box that transmitted to the car that gave it power. And he drove around for like 100 miles for several hours, drove back, and then it was unheard of. Like it never became a commercially adopted product. But so the theory is like maybe that there was a Tesla coil that was beaming electricity to that box and it was powering the car. But regardless, if you have a superconductor, you pretty much have the description of what Tesla was doing there. But that information is all suppressed. Like I have a friend or a person who I knew, let's put it that way. He was researching Tesla stuff, and the FBI went to visit him because he was downloading all of Tesla's works and Googling unlimited amounts of Tesla work. And it's like, what for is the FBI coming to visit him to check him out? At the time, he's like a 16-year-old guy, and a 16-year-old kid, literally, and he's being investigated by the FBI for researching about Tesla. So it's kind of preposterous. And so the suppression of information that's a preposterous facet.
But to me, I was just going to say, to me, that's always been the beauty of the Safe Network, is that it has that duality. As although we're talking about something, but you're right there, Neil, there is a commonwealth of human knowledge that needs to be opened up. But the great thing about the Safe Network is, which is essential to the other side of that, we need privacy. We need to have the ability to share information between people, because that's one of the things that's essential that's become lost in this world, is that to share ideas, you need private and you need public. And that's what I love about the Safe Network, because you both, it's not, I don't know if we want to get into this rabbit hole, but it's not one of the things I like about the blockchain is it's all out there in public. And again, we need stuff that's private, because that's essential to what human beings are about. We don't live in glass houses.
Yeah, actually, recently, like out of nowhere, I was going to get a cup of coffee, and there's like homeless people and stuff, and just around this one cafe in Berkeley. And the thing is, there's one guy who I talked to about cryptocurrencies, like randomly, and what he started mentioning out of nowhere, like we never had this conversation before. Like I think this one particular guy we just met for the first time, and he's like, "You're the cryptocurrency guy, right?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know what? Let me tell you something. I've been researching this cryptocurrency thing." First of all, he told me he's been living in a mountain in Berkeley, far away from people, and he's been doing that by choice for the last 20 years. And then he starts telling me about how Bitcoin is not good because of the blockchain and it compromises the privacy. He was just shouting about how it's not anonymous, and he's never heard of the Safe Network yet. So he never heard of the concept of the Safe Network. So I think even just that should be a clear demonstration that people obviously know that Bitcoin is not gonna protect you. It doesn't give you the advantage. It puts you at the disadvantage in that once you're there, you could be compromised too easily. Granted, it's the lesser of evils regarding banking and stuff, but that's slowly narrowing, and so
Yeah.
it's like we really, we really need the alternatives, and they exist. They kind of exist, like Monero and Dark Coin to an extent, Dark or Dash rather.
Dash.
Dash.
Yep.
Yeah. So to an extent, there's a movement there, and there's investment in Zero Coin, for example, and obviously the Safe network. So like, I mean, the future is going to be, or rather, the present moment, the present evolution is going to be anonymous first. That's for sure.
Yeah, like so anonymity is a good thing, but also the big strength of this is democracy, and
Right.
democracy strengthen the consensus. So strengthen the consensus is you have a whole bunch of honest nodes that are all part of one goal or a common goal to lift everyone up, and then you have a dishonest node that comes into the mix. Now, if you have strength in the consensus, you will be able to weed out the dishonest nodes, and so that in effect is what true democracy gives you. And right now, there's a major problem: the media, right? And media can influence a large number of people simply because they have a lot of money. So what I would consider that media would be a dishonest node being able to say, hey, this is actually the truth. You should listen to me. Don't listen to anyone else, right? And what a safe network would do is effectively make that more or less even playing ground. I mean, there's still going to be problems with the system, but it would allow the consensus to be much stronger.
There would be attacks, but you can identify those attacks readily. And so like what you were saying, Neil, is like about, so in the United States there's this thing, checks and balances, right? Like there's a systems of checks and balances. The government is arranged in such a way so that some group of people can check in on what other groups of people are doing in the government and make sure that they're doing things by the books, right? But I think what has happened, that the checks and balances has become confused with the checking account and the account balance, right? Because if you have a lot of checking account and a lot of account balance, you can do any kind of influence you want, and then the checks and balances are correct. That someone got a check, someone's balance was updated, and government can function. So I think there's a disconnect and confusion. It's like, where did this come? Like when they made the system, the government system, I doubt there's a checking account, right? And I doubt there's account balances that people are concerned with. And it's only kind of a modern invention, this checking account system, right? I mean, this checking banking system. So
the thing is, the whole banking system too, when you really dig deep into it, you'd be surprised actually some of the things that you learn. Like, show of hands, how many people here know that when you put your money in a bank account, it doesn't matter whether it's a checking account, savings account, whatever, you are giving the bank a loan for the amount, an unsecured loan. How many people here knew that? Okay, one, two. I can't see the hands, but I did not know that. Okay, as of 3 months ago, and I'd like to think that I'm a very informed person, I did not know that. And so as a result, 3 months ago itself, I went down to the bank and I confirmed this. And the bank said, yeah, well, yes, this is how it is. And I said, okay, I want to take all my money out right now, and I moved it to a credit union. So the whole concept of credit unions is nice because it's a non-profit organization, and they don't do the leveraging thing that the bank does. But it scared me that for the longest time, I was like, well, if I'm not investing in mutual funds, why is it that I put my money in a checking account and it's just a number, right? Because really, they're just leveraging your money, and in effect, that whole system. Whenever you have a system where people have an incentive to try to move money around, try to shuffle things around, such that they can make a greater profit by loaning more money out. Now, you're giving. If there's an incentive for somebody to do something bad, then it will happen. Murphy's Law. So it's like the nice thing about the Safe network is once those things start moving in the direction of the consensus, where everyone can see things in a transparent fashion, and you don't get shuffling of things and reorganizing of things such that it makes sense from a numbers point of view, but it actually is something devious underneath the hood. So that transparency and that democracy is key. And the Safe Network, it lends itself not just to the finance system. It'll lend itself to like when you were talking about the insurance system, for example. Insurance. If all the members are supporting the system, and you've got assets being backed, and we're all supporting the system, insurance would be basically us insuring the system. So it just works itself out by that way. So
yeah, that's the efficiency of doing things the smart way, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would agree. No, as soon as someone creates a safe app that I can rent my vehicle and keep it all through SafeCoin and crowdfund the insurance, because right now I have $1 million policy. Turo is the company I use right now, but they charge like 30-something% of, so they're currently the best system I have available, so 30% works. But boy, it seems like we could do it a lot cheaper and still have that security of $1 million policy. I'd be happy to invest into that policy to support a community.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Travis, the experiences you have in so many different fields. No, it's really refreshing, like to hear that you ran a co-op and stuff like that. That's phenomenally good news.
Co-op is such a great model.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and the insurance policy thing, that's like the core of the app. And I think if we realize, we're here on the pod. It's like if the SafeCoin becomes adopted and we do become we do gain the access to significant amount of wealth to then materialize the grander scoped projects, such as $1 million policy to all people who want to share their car on a global scale, or maybe initially like on a country scale, and figure out. I mean, anyway, we could figure it out, the details to how to insure in Canada and how to insure in the UK, and right, and then create that collective, like the global safe car sharing service or something. You know what I mean? And,
what if there was an insurance on the Safe Network? Like, what if there was a non-profit co-op insurance, but it was not a non-profit in the traditional sense where you could give yourself a very high salary and try to embezzle funds, but if it was like insurance on a transparent level, done in a cooperative way, such that it's on the Safe Network. I wonder if there's something like that could be possible.
There was a Ripple project like that.
What project?
Ripple.
Oh,
I don't like Ripple, but the concept of what they did was very much like what you're explaining.
Yeah, it's something to Google.
The thing is, you'd have to have competent people, who go out to verify that yes, this person did this, but there's always the ability to, you create at the grassroots a system where people are certified and verified to go and check on these things, and then those would really be the only people who should get paid besides, the payouts.
And that's all these automated things we're talking about. Boy, just the car one alone, I read the article that automated cars will decrease jobs by 10 million, I think, will lost jobs by having autonomous driving vehicles. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to need jobs, people to do those kinds of things and to be stewards. And if we all have to depend on the same thing, mathematics and cryptology, then, that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, but isn't it cool though? Like that, I'm saying, like, okay, so imagine the societies, the people maintain the things they have access to, right? Isn't that a good thing? Like,
yeah.
I think that's great. Like, as opposed, someone mentioned it's like serfdom or something, what we're talking about. But actually, absolutely not, because serfdom times didn't have cars. Serfdom times they didn't have jets to take you to some place on the planet Earth that might have some healing energies or something. You know what I mean? That didn't occur at those times. So people didn't have the quality, or like, let alone like jets mean that if someone's sick and needs medicine immediately, it's on a plane and it's going to get there in the next 12 hours, no matter where it is. So that's like, that is unprecedented. And people deserve access to that as well. So like, you can't bring the past into the current evolution that we're talking about. Like, I don't think that the past has a direct place in what we're describing. Like, there's no precedent for this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, I'll tell you what we'll do while we're here. I mean, I know you wrote this morning. Do you want to tell more? Enlighten us all more about your Safe Crypt drive.
So, yeah, I've been trying to come up with what's the simplest idea that with the least amount of investment but has the largest impact for adoption, for bringing in a revenue stream so I can fund some of the other bigger projects I have. And so SafeCrypt Drive is basically providing the SAFEnetwork on an offline medium. My own personal opinion, as soon as the SAFEnetwork starts to gain traction, ISP pushback is going to be basically clamping down on upload. And so I think it'll help people on an individual level, but there's already a market. If you look at the costs that Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are charging for annual maintenance hosting people's information, 50 terabytes. I mean, we're looking $11,000, $20,000, plus it's 12 cents per gigabyte to upload, and then it's 200 if you use Amazon Snowball, to up. It's just, there's a huge market for it. There's plenty of money to be made. And so how you get mass integration is just start handing out flash drives. And so I'm planning on doing a crowdfund, and part of the crowdfund is the first level. People will get just a little SafeCrypt drive that'll be preloaded with the ability to have everything about the SAFEnetwork with self-encryption, autonomous authentication, and it'll all be built into the thumb drive.
So is it's like a hardware solution, basically? It's like a hardware solution.
Yep. So I can save my home movie on that thumb drive and then send it to you because you've got a lot better upload speed that's uncapped, and you can upload all my data chunks onto the SAFEnetwork for me. So when I log on to the SAFEnetwork from here, all of my
you have the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Very cool.
Travis, this is something that maybe that has a lot of synergy with something that we discussed way back early editions of this podcast, me and Rich, was the idea that you maybe get 10 artists who go to N99, you put a CD out, and on that CD you could have exactly what you're speaking about, and then it's a dual win for both sides, because obviously the tracks that are going to be put there are going to be put up on the SAFEnetwork, and it's a way of attracting people. It's exactly how AOL used to do it back in the day. I got AOL because I lived in Argentina, and I got a CD with a film on it, and part of the thing was, you have to get onto AOL, and I think if we can do the same trick with musicians and stuff like that, and link it with your hard drive idea, man, we could, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. If I want to send my grandma this new album of a band that she likes, and I want to do the music videos too, and the file size is huge, and her download speed sucks, I just send her the SafeCrypt drive, and it pops up. She logs in or creates an account from the thumb drive, and she's got access to whatever I've shared to her, and plus it could be whatever else it gets included in there. It's going to run the Safe app that does the playing of the music video, and I mean, yeah, you could just package it any which way. And of course, SafeCrypt Drive app will be open source and free to be used. And where I plan on making revenue is basically selling my fiber optic access that I have here locally, for a profit.
Travis, I have a question. How would we give the people encrypted chunks that we want them to upload?
So let's say you have 50 terabytes of information you want to upload. You're not able to where you're at. So you can ship me that 50 terabytes if you have it, or I will ship you, if you go on the hardware and look at the safe box, that could be 60 terabytes. You basically just ship that. You'd have to do it in a creative way that protects the drives. So you ship it to me, and all I am is basically just the caretaker of the road that puts your information on the network. So I just plug it into my fiber optic circuit that's infinite amounts per, right now I can do 10 gigs per second upload, and all of your information is there. And so it's just encrypted chunks to me. I have no idea what I'm uploading.
Correct.
I'll never be able to access it.
Right.
Take a look at this USB concept with the 3 micro SD cards, because the micro SD cards, I think, are they up to 250 gigabytes now per card? So you can have 750 gigabytes on one flash drive.
Oh, you can have a terabyte.
Oh, you can on a flash drive?
But then after once they're uploaded, the person who wants to read them can get them anywhere, because they don't need to upload them, and they would pay for the drive, and it would have to be priced at the cost of the safe coins. And then I'm only wondering then how to. So when you upload it, can you give it privately to that person? That's one question, because the keys to that upload would be the person who uploaded it, even though the chunks would be from somewhere else.
Yeah,
so
it
could be public. Yeah.
The part I have to figure out is when the SafeCrypt Drive app encrypts that data, does the person pay for the put amount then with SafeCoin to the network, or is it when that information finally hits the online safe network?
Yeah, you'd have to send the bill after to get a, or charge extra for the service. So prepare well in advance how much it'll cost to store 32 gigabytes. Someone gets a drive, they ship it back to you, and then they want you to store 32 gigabytes. You charge $15 or something, even though it's worth 10. You still can keep a you could fund the other projects, and you can still.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so I would never create an account. My goal is to never play any role in the negotiation of price of the safe network for data. And so.
But you wouldn't have to. You would. Oh, that's true. I see what you mean. You'd kind of get in that.
So that's why I had talked to you about, if we had a free open market that does contracts, that has a free live global market value of bandwidth as a commodity, that automatically, that API could be plugged right into the SafeCrypt Drive app, and basically someone pays for their data upload at the time, and then shipped and uploaded.
The only way I can see that actually being feasible is if the person has their actual account and login information with their SafeCoin in their account, also on the drive itself.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because once you plug in the drive will automatically access the safe network using the account information that's on the drive.
Right.
So there's no touching from Travis's side, from the uploader side. He's just plugging it in, and once it connects, then the API does all the rest. It loads up the login, it accesses the person's account, and it pays for the puts, and it just uploads it using Travis's fiber optic line. And there will be an element of trust, because if they do it public, there's no issue, because Travis can do it from his account or anybody's account, doesn't matter. But if they want to do it privately, it has the login information has to be on the drive.
Right.
There's no way for Travis to upload on his side and then have the guy access it if he just wants it private to himself. So there has to be a very clear distinction. If it's public, then yeah, we can upload it for them. But if it's private, he has to do it.
David, Travis could upload and then transfer ownership of the chunks to the account, or it doesn't even have to transfer the ownership. It should be possible to upload. No. But the thing is, you can get the public key of the person you're doing it for, and encrypt those chunks so that only they can modify them. Yeah. But it would just need to be exposed for that. The network. Yeah.
One way or another, if they want to do it privately, it's still going to have to trust Travis, the uploader, to not tamper with the drive, not tamper with the data.
Right.
And so that's why it's going to be an issue.
But couldn't we put where I plug it in and then say, hey, log into your account, and it'll say, okay, your data is ready for upload to the SAFEnetwork. This is how much it costs. It approved, pay for it, and then it runs.
Yeah, that's what I want it to do. That's what I want it to do. But the login information has to be on the drive. He cannot access the account from. How can he access the drive from Travis's side when he's over 1,000 miles away?
All right, watch.
Tell the drive to put information on the SAFEnetwork using his account.
So it doesn't
what
work
if
that
they
way.
already paid for it to go onto the network, but it actually hadn't gone on the network yet?
Right.
So they encrypted it, chunked it down to the 1 megabyte per data structure chunk or whatever you call it. And so the 50 terabyte of information I get is basically just a billion 1 megabyte chunks. And it doesn't matter what those are, and I'm just uploading them up to the network.
I know, but the thing is, you're accessing it from a client node, and the client node is a different access. It has a different ID access point than the guy's client when he's accessing it from his node. Do you see where I'm saying? The chunks are coming from a different place.
Yeah.
So let's say I pay for the account. The network knows I paid for the account. The network knows I paid for 50 terabytes, and it knows that. It says, okay, yeah, I understand this account. But then you're saying, well, somebody is going to come and access the network from a different node. Then the same network doesn't know the two unless that person from the other node uses a login information. Then it goes, oh, I know who this is. You see, it has to identify the account user in some form or another.
So would you use a private key of some kind on the?
Yeah, you would have. That's what I'm saying. You would have to have that. The information has to be on the drive, but not accessible to Travis, but on the drive. That's what I'm saying. And the API will have to solve that problem. So that all Travis has to do is just plug in the drive. It'll access it, and then it'll say, I'm going to log in. The drive itself, not Travis, but the drive itself will do this automatically and say, I'm logging in under so-and-so's name. Here's the account. It's already been paid for. I'm uploading. And the same network says, oh, okay, I understand. This is the account that you're calling the request from. Okay, it's paid for. I'll accept the chunks, and I'll put them. And that's how it would work.
Does SAFEnetwork have some kind of an authenticator app? Like like Google Authenticator, where you have these 6-digit numbers that keep changing every 30 seconds.
The only way the SAFEnetwork authenticates is through the password, PIN, and the login name, the password, and the PIN. That's the only way. So basically, it calls the user account. It calls it. It doesn't pull it from a specific access node. It just says, I'm so-and-so. This is my account, and the SAFEnetwork retrieves that account information, and it retrieves the SafeCoin balance. It retrieves the data maps of anything that's linked to that account. So Travis has to call that account using the person's login information. But I'm saying the API that Travis would develop has to make it so that Travis doesn't need to even look at it. It'll just be done automatically by the drive itself the minute he plugs it in.
And what happens if you lose the drive? Like, would somebody else get
the data is lost, but the account is not lost.
Well, also the data is not in its whole totality. So Travis would get the drive with chunks on it, not files.
Right.
Yeah, there's no files.
So even if Travis was nefarious, we're just being hypothetical. Even if Travis was nefarious, he would still not be able to see anything on the drive anyways. It would just
the only nefarious thing would be not storing the information.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't do any damage to it anyway, so that way the person wouldn't have to say, oh, I don't trust Travis. It's like, you upload it or not, my account is paid for, so that's the only way you can do it.
The feasibility is it would be clearer if the SAFEnetwork permitted public key encryption, like of a specific kind of like sending someone bitcoins. Like if you give
Yeah,
me your public
yeah,
key and you send me your files chunks, I'll put them
yes,
for you and give them directly to you.
right.
Yes.
That's what the API has to handle.
Yeah, in
And
order
then,
to facilitate that.
and then
Right.
CFX can, enforce the contract once I do upload it. That
Right.
money is already in escrow, and then the contract is
Right.
paid in full.
Right.
Yep. So that's kind of the gist of it. I posted the web. I just started a couple days ago, so it's still pretty rough. But
I
that's
started
I'm
browsing.
going.
Looks very cool.
Yeah, hopefully there would be a market for that, and you'd only find out if you try. So
Well, I have people that I'm friends with all over the world, and I can't. It's just I'm sick of trying to share stuff via in the internet. And if I could just ship them a thumb drive that I don't care if it gets lost because no one can access that information. It's
Exactly.
encrypted.
Yeah.
I think there already is a market there, right? Encrypted drives are popular. The only reason why they're not used more is because
And
they're
we have
not
to
used as
assume that
bandwidth.
it probably will be intercepted.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and
worst
the
case scenario.
bandwidth,
Yeah.
the core of that is bandwidth. That some people don't have the access to the bandwidth like you have, Travis, for example.
So if your API is open source, then other people can review it and say, well, I put this API as open source. It only does one thing. The minute it gets access to the safe network, whatever was pre-encrypted, the log information, that's what it'll use, and that's what it will transmit to the safe network once it connects to the safe network. But beyond that, it won't share or reveal anything else.
Right.
And it'll be triggered by, like you said, the public key.
Correct.
So, what was I going to say?
Well, this micro SD thing, you store micro SD cards into a USB adapter. You could have multiple micro SDs. So I'm just reading a link that Travis uploaded. USB concept with 3 micro SD cards.
Rich, yeah.
Oh, Rich posted that, yeah.
It would be really great to get the lowest cost, the highest amount of storage on the SD, because those are really cheap to ship, and that would be like probably the best way to run a very efficient business.
Well, that just the picture I have on there, that was just to kind of fill. That's not the one I'm going to go with, but I was off AliExpress or something else. I can get 100 of them. I think the 1 terabyte I can probably get for about $60, $50.
Yeah, it's about the same as a regular hard drive.
That's amazing.
That's
terabyte.
crazy
For
cheap.
SD, yeah.
So, that's just not even looking very hard.
Wow.
So that will actually be a product that I think will encourage people to join in on the CrowdSafe funding project, because then they get a product.
And then if we expand the operations, like let's say we're becoming self-funded and sustainable, you can expand it to other locations, so that way the local shipment, people from other parts of the world, not just locally in the U.S., but other parts, can set up operations. Like Singapore, for example, got very high upload in Singapore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice, and
I would love
send someone to travel.
I would love, and I've talked to Daniel about the grandma just button. So it takes them immediately to SafeX, where there's the open market of bandwidth, and whoever has the cheapest rate for the information that I want, and they're closest, and it works out to be the most cost effective. Yeah, so I would hope very quickly that I'd have a lot of competition, and I'm not the only gig in town that's got fast upload. We'd be in trouble if I'm the only one in the world.
Yeah.
You're going to be in that monopoly accusation.
So
but that's the direction that things are going. It's like you don't need just only one. I mean, like Travis mentioned, it's like hopefully I'm not the only one
Mm-hmm.
on the marketplace. But that's what a market is about. There's not only one apple tree. There's
Mm-hmm.
not only one person needs to buy gasoline. You know what I mean? Or a solar panel rather. You know, like so they go and collect apples from their orchard and then sell them to get the solar panel. It's just how it works.
You look how much money they're investing on these specialty CPUs for Bitcoin mining. The
Right.
amount of money
Right.
that has been invested into something that doesn't produce anything.
Oh, that's
Where
phenomenal.
bandwidth actually has value. And so people spend their money on that because they're going to make a lot more money back on their investment of creating a fiber optic circuit that is, wide open to the network. And so
There's like $1 billion worth of fiat, probably more, spent
Yeah.
on how to mine the Bitcoin.
and in the end, what do they get?
Well,
It's
the
just-
thing is, Satoshi Nakamoto, who is that anyway, who made everybody change their attention for $1 billion to
But-
investigate how to best pull those out of the ground, right?
Yeah, and I do talk to some of these big miners, the ones that spend $20 million in building a facility and whatnot, like Bitfury, BTC China, and whatnot. And it's funny, they buy all this equipment for 6 months. It runs for 6 months, and then they have to change the equipment. So it's that's really where the money is going. They actually do make a lot of money, but then they basically sell the hardware for as cheap as they can, and they buy new hardware.
But it's myopia. Like
Yeah.
it's unsustainable. It's like continuing with the fiat. I think that in 1976 to 73, whatever, they knew. They're like, hey, this is going to give us the power to just print the money and just spend it, and we're going to be dead before people notice what the hell we just pulled off. And you know what I mean? Like we're gonna. So those guys get to build jets and fly around on inefficient materials, while the rest of the planet Earth is gonna like look left and right and say, what the hell's going on for 40 years, until
Yep.
finally, like, it's staring back in our face with Bitcoin showing us the decentralized thing, like some wisdom, like probably like the only whatever. This is some interesting thing. It's like Bitcoin. Just forget the money part of it. The reason it's valuable is to get your attention here and say this is how things are supposed to be done, and that's why Bitcoin is not worth a penny still. It's worth like $500. It's so that the people who pay attention and who can handle that new resource, here's your bread and butter. Now go forth and do what you need to do, and do it the right way this time. And so we got duped like 1973 or 76 with the change to taking off the
Yeah.
gold standard and issuing of the free floating currencies. Is
1971.
71, my friend. The day I was
71?
born. The day I was born. This is
well
what-
He
like
remembers it well.
yeah, George Soros made like I don't know, like $1 billion overnight because of the switch to fiat currency. That's like that's absurd. It's like, I mean, yeah, that's so like that should just be a sign of like, okay, so this is here's how everybody's getting screwed now.
So I have a question about this SafeCrypt drive. This is about storage of encrypted information, correct?
Exactly. Encrypted using the Safe's self-encryption library.
Okay. Is there a solution right now on the Safe network where people get to loan their Wi-Fi information, so have their bandwidth be loaned out for people who may be surfing by? They might be able to tap into your Wi-Fi hotspot and be able to use your Wi-Fi connection. Is there something like that right now?
Not yet. I think there was a discussion in the past of something like that, and but then wouldn't it put people at risk? Does that?
If it's encrypted, if you can do it in a clever way, maybe it's doable, right? Because I live in Vancouver, and the internet here is also very good. I mean, my internet is 100 megabits per second, but it goes up to 300 megabits over here, and some places even have gigabit connections. So it is nice to be able to have to maybe loan your Wi-Fi hotspot out, give people the ability to have like a decentralized way of plugging in to the internet wherever they go. And if you can do it in an encrypted way, I'm wondering if there's a way we can merge those two things together. Like you plug you plug a little hardware solution into your router or whatever.
In fact, that exists currently.
Oh, yeah, that does exist.
Yes, but it's working. Yes, not in the SNET, in the SAFEnetwork. It's working as a Wi-Fi portal with you have a router and you modify the operating system, and you have all the software to put it on it, and you can sell your connection for Bitcoins. I have a tweet here from Andreas Antonopoulos, and he shared the source code, and in fact this solution works in a 21 Bitcoin computer as backend, but you can modify a few lines and put it in the hardware that you want.
Wow. Okay. Do you have well, I guess I can look up the link, but if you post the link, I would.
Yes, I can share this with you. Just 1 second. I'm going to put here in the Hangouts.
Yeah,
see, the
Neil,
future is
I'm
amazing.
going to share the text here in our chat, okay?
Yeah, Neil, it's funny you mention that because, see, when I hear the SAFEnetwork being discussed, I see bandwidth is the equivalent of what processing power is to, or hash power is to Bitcoin. So very soon, bandwidth is going to be perceived as money, basically.
Right.
And so, these same fiber optic systems that I'm going to be setting up for an upload service, I'm also going to be running farms through it, but then I'm also going to be building out a mesh infrastructure. And we'll be our own ISP. It won't be me either. It'll be the whole community, the whole mesh. And it's all backed based on bandwidth.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is also a crucial part in the decentralization process is being able to surf the internet at a fast speed without having to use Tor. I mean, Tor is slow, right? It's like maybe there's a way to do that in a much faster way, and just do it, encrypted, but on the go.
Yeah, SAFEnetwork. That's the solution. Yep. That's the beauty of it. Every one of these ideas just gets easier to do.
It's like we're reinventing the internet, how it was supposed to be. So there's so many solutions. We just have to do it, and it's like every idea is a brilliant idea, but every idea is an easy idea. It's a straightforward idea. It's an obvious thing. It's like, oh yeah, of course you would do that.
Yeah, we were mentioning with Travis, and in the previous discussion with Ernest Hancock, he said, you guys always say like you have a just button. It's like, I want to contribute to the crowd sale, and you tell me just go and put the money there, and just push the button and put it there. So there's a direct use case to literally like push the button on my wallet and put the money into the crowd sale. So there we go. We have a use case. So the wallet of the future needs that just button for that use case.
I think everything we build has to have the grandma just button.
It should be built with that in mind. Like, okay, here's exactly how you're going to use it. Perfect. Let's code it so that when you push the button, it just works. Fill in the fields, just push the button. You know what I mean? Like, go to the farm where the apples are, just push the button, and you get the apples.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it's got to be. And if we do that, we're going to bypass the whole adoption lag that the internet had before. Like, between 1994 and 2000 is just producing grandma just button tools, like JavaScript and C++. All kinds of materials were being produced so that grandma just buttons could be produced. So now we get the restart. We get a fresh start on connecting people, on protecting people, and we can use all the tools of the past 2 decades to make just buttons for people.
Yep.
And that should be in mind in the development process.
Yep.
Of pretty much everything we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
You're right, Daniel, because I think one of the things, I mean, I'm old enough to remember it going on, and I it's one of the lessons I think we've got to bear in mind all the time, that when what my generation, when we had the internet, I remember being here 20 years ago, there we were, and I remember thinking the same thing, thinking, oh wow, you know, I thought then that there was going to be like the SAFEnet, we could all peer to peer and we could, you know, build a new world. And my generation got lazy, and we all got lazy because we thought someone else is going to do it, and that's why it's crucial now. We've got to make everybody aware that as easy as possible, and say to them, look, come and build it, because that's the only way this is going to happen. If it's easy, ease of use, we don't complicate the words, and we don't suddenly entrench into camps. It's one of my things I've always said about Bitcoin. Everybody, when they first hear the word Bitcoin, all they're thinking of is money, and that's its weakness, because it attracts people to think, oh, it's all, you know, we've got to stay away from that. We've got to say, look, this has got to be as easy as possible, stay away from any complicated words, and we've basically got to say to everybody, you've got to help contribute to build this, because if not, what happens is we end up in 20 years' time and we have the SAFEnet, or not whatever, it won't happen, but we'll just be in a more centralized world. It's what happened in my generation, you know, and that's why Google ruled everything, because we all sat back and thought someone else is going to do it, and we can't allow that to happen again.
Yeah, but people from before couldn't do what we could do today, because they didn't have the security. It would be like setting yourself up to die. It's like there's a whole ocean of mines. If you go and do what we want to do, we will be crushed. We will explode, because there's pirates in the ocean just waiting for us to go into there, you know, and put our credit card number on the internet. I mean, it's just too obvious, and things have to be things. I mean, they're changing. We are changing them. Yeah.
Exactly, Daniel. That's the great thing about this time around. There's no excuses now, because we've got all the greatest tools at our hands. Every day more innovations are coming, more tools are coming, and as you know, the minute we haven't even switched the thing isn't even live yet, and we know that just a simple, even the most conservative with a small C, you know, projection of how this is going to go, man, we're about to switch on the greatest supercomputer that's ever been known, and it's going to be, and that's something that, you know, it all makes it easier for us. But that's what I'm saying. We you know, it's so. To me, it's that's why I always say it's the greatest days, because it means, like you said, Daniel, anybody can come along. I mean, people like me, anybody can come along and say, look, this is my idea, and someone out there will build it. Whereas maybe 20 years ago, we were in the hands of a select amount of people who knew certain code language.
Right.
But those barriers are breaking down. That's what's really inspiring about these days we live in.
Yep.
Is Brady playing a song right now? I can't hear him.
Brady just likes to sit and jam in the corner.
Well, Daniel, I wanted to thank you. You know, your crowd cell really kind of sparked a lot of motivation in me, and
I'm glad to hear that.
The overdrive, and you know, as I was creating this SafeCrypt Drive website and figuring out, I'm going to need the SafeX Just button built into my app, and they can, you know, every one of the customers I work with and that I do the crowd call and everything, I'm going to hand out the Safe Exchange tokens.
Huh.
Well,
they could feedback to you and write what a good experience they had with you by doing so. Yeah, that would be a cool way to adopt with and interact with the folks.
So
that's commendable. Hats off, Travis. I mean, I was thinking about a way to faucet coins to people.
Yeah, and, I know you're getting it out there, but when you think about things on a scalable thing, you know, those coins are going to have to be distributed a lot more.
Yes.
So whoever the investors are out there, because I didn't invest in a lot. I didn't know why at the time I invested as much as I did, but now I realized it. I've got millions of Safe Exchange coins that I'm going to be able to hand out that has value to my customers, the people that I interact with. And then it's just going to keep building on this system. So I
So
really
that's
thank
how
you for
the return. That's how it'll come back to you 1,000 times, basically. And I'm glad you figured that out. I'm glad to have you on. You know,
brilliant.
yeah. And
No,
and hopefully we get just enough to where I'm secured to finish everything, and that'll mean you'll get a good percentage. I mean, I did as much as I could to get the word out, but not to so to say like I didn't put all my resources into getting the word out. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it done.
And you don't have to, because
Yeah.
just this one project I'm working on, there is an immediate value that's seen that I
Yeah.
can do with those tokens and stuff. And so you're going to get an exponential spread
Mm-hmm.
of what you're building just by that. So I don't know.
Well, another thing I want to add is, I mean, it's obvious. I should just mention it. Is so initially, while this adoption curve is happening, there's going to be a scarcity of goods on the network initially. So that's like that's why it's a fun time to have something going on, like some product that people demand. You'll pretty much guarantee yourself into productivity because let's say at least on the first month maybe only 100 products are on there, you know, and while people are getting familiar, so people would want to spend SafeCoin and buy something on the marketplace just because, at least initially, just because. I think that happened with Bitcoin. People just wanted to see what happens when they buy with Bitcoin. So I think that that's a part of it. So like being early, you like the return, so to speak, will happen. Like the expense now is only like the like I'm saying like a time commitment or financial commitment or owning coin and hodling the coin is just because there's that lag between when people first know and then when people adopt. So like Happy Being was saying, my ability to buy now is because not a lot of people want to buy, and that's what investment is. It's like one day people are going to need this, so I'm going to get some now, and at the price that they're willing to give it up for. And that's what an investment is. And so that in the future, when people realize that that's now valuable to them, and they would price it higher, then that's their prerogative, I guess, right? Like, or that's just how the earth revolved. Like maybe you needed to sell for a low price, and so that you can get to a different destination, and then in the future, like the person might have not needed all. Like the concept of, let's say let's say you produced wheat, to make bread, and this year, so your silo can hold, let's say, 10 tons of wheat, and then another year, the next year, you produce 100 tons of wheat. Now you have 90 tons that you can't store, and now you could sell them off to people for a low price because you have a huge abundance of it, let's say. Lower than, let's say, you would sell from your 10-ton stash, right? So that's just pretty much how it is, and those folks would buy it because that they see the opportunity to be able to have something that they definitely will need, and so and that feeds back. So then that person would have a less expensive access to the food, have more security, they are more productive, they are more secure, and then they can feed back to the system as well with productivity like that. Yeah. So the way I see it is like that there's just an excess right now, and then it's going to be distributed, and that distribution is going to fuel several good things in people, and then it'll feed back, and people will make microcosms of these good productivities. And if not, people will live at least. At least people will be able to live. So yeah, that's
Well, and as being an FEC stakeholder, I'm going to be happy to give away those coins, because every time I give away a coin, whether the FEC becomes worth 100 per coin, I'll still happily give away tens of thousands of them because I got them at pennies. And,
well, if we're as big as Amazon, that's a realistic goal. I mean, it's a realistic outcome. Like,
so that's a rewards program that no one will be able to compete with me, the traditional sense, because every time you do business with me, I'm giving you these coins that are worth more than what you're paying for whatever I'm needing, and it's just all kind of feeds on itself. It's a real world example that's like already happening before it's even launched.
Exactly. I mean, exactly, Travis. I mean, as I've always said, it's exactly the reason why someone's got to come along and do like an N100, because try giving away more than 99%. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're setting a high bar.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Sorry, go on. Look, well, not important. Brady, do you have a song you want to play us, my friend?
I did, but the audio was really messing with me. I'm getting this loop back thing, so I'm just staying silent. But when I go to play, if you guys all mute, it should be fine. But everything's all screwy. I'm setting up for this podcast, and things are a little weird. But
Nah, that's cool, man.
But
actually, guys,
when it's just me, it should be fine. You guys are gonna echo because of the way I'm doing it, and I'm sorry about that.
I gotta go, but it was great chatting with everyone, and as usual, I enjoyed I enjoyed this conversation, and I'm glad for the invitation. So let me know for the next one, and I'll be there.
It should be 2 weeks from tonight.
2 weeks from tonight. Yeah, I was going to say every 2 weeks we're here.
I will be there. I will be there. Take care, guys.
Perfect.
Have a good
New Year.
Have a great New Year, my man.
Yeah, you guys too. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
So, anybody else got anything else they want to particularly chip in and say?
I'm about to bake some bread that I made myself.
Cool.
That sounds good to me, man. Well, Brady,
That's
then.
my
I mean,
specialty.
we're getting to the point, Brady. We're all the lights. Everybody's focusing their energy on you, Brady. The pressure's on you, my friend.
You guys will have to be quiet though, or otherwise it's going to get chaotic. I will have this fixed hopefully soon, but things are a little weird at the moment with my setup. Anyway, I got some effects for you guys too, so I got some hardcore reverb. Can you guys hear this? Did it get really echoey? Yeah? All right, we're good. So it's going to be all epic. It's going to be like... Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do this then. I got a little bit of distortion for you too, so I'm gonna play. This is a new song I'm working on, and I'm gonna kind of do a intro idea to what I'm gonna be doing with the sessions idea. And for sessions, you guys, if you wanted to chime in and want me to go a certain direction, or you're feeling a name for the song, by all means, jump on in when I'm done playing.
Let's everybody mute.
Yeah. It's gonna get weird if you don't, but I promise I'll have this fixed soon. I'm kind of Frankensteining this system together to make it sound the way it does right now, but it'll be worth it in the end. All right, here we go. This one doesn't have a name yet. Let me know what you think. about all I've got, but it's coming along there. That's a new one, but
I like it. I like it.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Thank
I
you.
don't want to sound freaky, but that guitar sounds remind me Diablo, the video game Diablo.
All right, there you go. That's a good name for it.
Epic adventure.
Perfect, people. Well, excellent, man. Well, to everybody out there, have a great new year. And man, we'll call it as it is, man. Life is people, people.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.